Alright, wrap up time for Double Moonwalkers. So this deck, it was super awesome. I had so much fun playing this deck, and it was more competitive than I thought it would be. Looking at it on paper, I was like, I don't know if this can really work. Like, it looks fun, and it looks interesting, and I want to play it, but I don't know if this can actually win matches. But we ended up going 4-1, which is a pretty solid record, with our only loss being against Ad Nauseam. And I will say, Ad Nauseam is a really horrible matchup. Our only realistic plan to win that match is to race them, and I don't know how practical that is. We really just need to somehow ultimate one of our planeswalkers and get the Emrakul. Otherwise, none of the stuff we do really matters. They can win through Blood Moon. Blood Moon does slow them down a little bit, and it's helpful, but they can win through that. They can win through Ley Lines of Sanctities and Worships, and so trying that sideboard plan just really didn't work, and I think that highlights one of the issues with the deck. It seems very strong in fair matchups. If people are playing fairly, I think this deck actually pretty competitive. On the other hand, in unfair matchups, we just don't have that much going on. The good news is Ad Nauseam is probably the worst of the unfair matchups because it gets around our hate cards. Against a deck like Storm or against like Scapeshift, our Blood Moons and Ley Lines of Sanctities and Worships are much more effective. So that's our main plan. That plan just doesn't work against Ad Nauseam in specific. As far as the rest of the deck, one thing I didn't like is how many mana dorks we have. So there were definitely times when it felt like we were mana dork flooded, and I guess that's necessary if you're going to play 6-drop planeswalkers along with only 21 lands. But having essentially 15 mana dorks is just a lot of mana dorks, and it can lead to some weird draws. There's a lot of variance in our draws, I guess. Once we start playing on turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, our draws are either going to be absolutely insane, and we're going to rip and play a Planeswalker, which generates a huge advantage, or they're going to be absolutely horrible, and we're going to draw another Birds of Paradise, another Noble Hierarch, something like that. So there's a lot of variance in our draw step, and apart from the Planeswalkers, which don't even really, most of them at least, generate card advantage, I guess Nahiri can loot, which is helpful. Jace can do the mini factor fiction thing, but we don't really have ways to dig through our deck. And that's one of the things about this deck is we're kind of an all-in Planeswalker combo deck. We don't have ways to interact, which can be problematic. We don't have a way to deal with an infect creature. We don't have Path to Exiles or Dismembers. We don't even have Wraths. We just straight up look to play as many Planeswalkers as possible, as quickly as possible. If we happen to have a doubling season, that's even better, and just win that way. So the variance of the deck can be a little bit troubling, although it was still awesome. It makes me wonder, though, if it's possible to not play quite as many mana dorks. Like, do we really need 15 of those just to strengthen our draws in the late game? Also, could we maybe replace some number of mana dorks with some number of interactive spells, just so we have some chance to kill a Blighted Agent or an Inkmoth Nexus or something like that could be really problematic for us. Things I do like is Blood Moon is absolutely insane still. We still get the free wins with Blood Moon in the main deck, and because we have a million mana dorks, we can pretty consistently play it on turn 2 if we happen to have it, and turn 2 Blood Moon still beats a lot of decks in Modern. It's not quite as insane as when Eldrazi were running rampant, but it is still very good against a large portion of the decks in Modern. And everything else aside, the deck is just super fun to play. Being able to get a doubling season on the battlefield, then play a Jace, ultimate the Jace, get something from your opponent's deck, get a Ralzeric, take a bunch of extra turns. In those extra turns, play a Nahiri, ultimate the Nahiri, get an Emrakul. It's just so cool. And what other deck in the entire history of Magic has the possibility to win by hardcasting an Emrakul, which we did, ultimating endless planeswalkers, which we also did, or flipping a Westville Abbey into an Ormondal and beating down with an Ormondal, which we also did. So the deck just has so much cool stuff going on, and it is just so much fun to play. So it is what it is. Good in fair matchups, somewhat inconsistent as far as its draws are concerned, and questionable in unfair matchups, depending on the specific deck and how good our hate cards are against the deck. But overall, this deck was just a blast, and I'm super glad we got to play it, and I might even jump online now and play a couple more games for fun, just because I had such a good time playing it. Anyway, that's been our Much Abrew About Nothing for this week. Make sure to vote in the Instant Deck text next week, so you can vote for the next Much Abrew About Nothing deck. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed Double Moonwalkers in Modern, and I will talk to you soon.